not allowing him to play Hecarim. I mean, yeah. Well, it's pretty much a waste of ban card, I feel like. What are the limitations of top Hecarim?
I mean, so my opinion is that top Hecarim needs a lot of farm to get going, and this is why I think jungle Hecarim fell out of the meta, because he was big early season 3 when and then he was slaying peasants.
Slaying peasants, yeah,
as we like to say in Korea.
I know, yeah.
But he got banned. It took a lot more to get him going, and to be honest, he needs a lot of farm time. And with the way the meta is right now, and I think they're going to be looking for the top laner to be kind of grouping earlier than when he hits his power spike. So
right, and it seems like due to the roster changes, a lot of them have Team REC won't be allowed to. I think they lost 2 ban cards, right? And that's right. So they're not really banning anything at the moment. And for some reason, Anarchy isn't making any bans too, although they didn't have any roster changes. But it seems like, when you lose 2 ban cards, you don't want to waste your final ban card on a Hecarim.
No, of course not. Of course not. I mean, I'd expect to see something maybe a Lucian ban.
A Lucian ban, maybe.
Maybe a
Thresh or something, or Lee Sin.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still out on the air. We are playing on 4.10, guys, and so the LeBlanc nerf where the silence was taken out is gone. Silence is gone, and there's also a couple of other nerfs that came through. So I'm not exactly sure what we'll see as the priority ban that Team REC will go for. So I guess we'll have to just sit back and see. But maybe I think a strong pick like Lucian, a strong safe pick. They might just want to take that out.
Right.
But they do have first pick, so
they do have first pick. Okay, they do choose to ban out Kassadin.
Always a solid ban.
The thing about Kassadin though is that I may be speaking too hastily, but so far I haven't seen the hard carrying Kassadin that used to be before he was remade. And now people are telling me that, okay, the thing about Kassadin, a lot has changed about Kassadin, that he's no longer that crazy, insane, mobile, high burst champion, but rather he's more of the sustained dealing champion. What are your thoughts on Kassadin, Barry?
I mean, I think Kassadin was really...
And Kale ban here too.
Well, so. Kale's currently a solid ban, I think. But let's go back to Kassadin for a little bit. So with Kassadin, his mobility was huge, and his laning was actually very, very safe in terms of, and he just had a lot in his kit. And with the changes to Kassadin, actually, the funny thing was that the Kassadin changes actually were fairly decent, and then Riot slightly overbuffed him, and then they rolled back those buffs. So Kassadin is I think in a good place right now. He's still strong, mainly because of his the amount of mobility he gets.
But he's no OP. Is that what you're saying?
I think he's still a little bit OP.
Still a little bit OP, but not like broken.
Right.
Not like Braum.
Well, you can't really blind pick it, in my opinion, just because. So here we see maybe a Lucian.
You mentioned Lucian before, saying that Lucian is the strong pick, and I want you to talk a little bit about this. There has been a lot of changes regarding those items that AD carries use, and how will Lucian benefit from this? And are you surprised at all to see the Braum?
No, I'm not surprised to see the Braum, especially if they're going to pick the Kog'Maw, and then they're going to maybe go for a protect the Kog'Maw comp, and then just be like, hey, let's just get this little worm grow up and
become like a dragon that's going to eat everything up. Right?
I mean, like he's going to spit acid and just melt everything. But
you don't want acid on your face.
But going back to Lucian is still a fairly strong lane boy. They did nerf the W, the Ardent Blaze, I think.
But the Ardent Blaze wasn't a big part of...
Right, but it was still an extra bit of damage that you got out of it. And I think they shaved off a little bit of damage, that excess damage that he could deal, and they kept the Piercing Light as kind of his big trading tool in lane. So we'll see how... we'll still have to see how much that detracts from Lucian's status as a top priority pick, but we'll see.
And also the thing though is that about AD carries, that it used to be that just for the sake of sustain, a lot of AD carries would pick out the Vampiric Scepter, and that almost forced them into building a Bloodthirster first, right? Do you think that will change with this recent patch?
Well, so I think the main from what I understand, is the main reason why people were going Bloodthirst is because you get 100 AD out of that.
100 AD,
You used to get
right.
100 AD out of that item. So with that 100 AD,
What was the lifesteal on it? Like 18%?
around
It was
maybe.
ridiculous,
Yeah,
right?
it was pretty high. So it was a great what was it, item for sustaining in like the kind of the later end of the laning phase, and it just made sense on a caster champion like Lucian. Lucian is like this weird mix of a caster and an auto attacking champion.
Right, because of his passive and his skill
Right.
set, right? But I mean, but we have been talking about Google, and it seems like they're trying to lock in
I think
at the same time with Irelia.
I think it's a smart pick, mainly because Braum gets so darn tanky, and then he can use his ult to steal away Braum's tank stats.
Especially when his W is up, right?
Yes, definitely. So I think it's okay, and we'll see. Like Karthus pickup, I love Karthus.
I mean, we were talking about it while we were having dinner just now, right? Like, we were talking about an Easy Hoon of SKT T1S, and why doesn't he play Karthus? Karthus is a great pick, and I agree. I really like Karthus too. But we want to hear your opinion about these picks, though. Karthus, Jarvan.
So this is like a classic, like S2-ish comp, right? Like you get the Jarvan, and you get them locked into the Karthus defile, and like it's great. But I mean, these picks are hilarious, like to be honest. But so from what I'm seeing, it looks like Team REC is going for slightly like a split pushy comp, right? So they have
split pushy is great vocabulary. I just have so much faith in you as an analyst, right?
I mean, hey, I was a bio major. I don't do words so good.
Right.
I don't do words so good. But yeah, what it looks like is they're gonna have the Trundle Google as the peel for Lucian, and then meanwhile Karthus and like Jarvan, they're gonna be like this big team fighting like menace. And if they get into a group of 5 with Irelia, then they're gonna like Irelia will jump on the back line. You have Jarvan and Karthus, these huge
especially
roadblocks.
on a Kog'Maw, right? Irelia must be a threatening prospect.
Definitely, but okay, now we have to see the composition that Anarchy is building. So Anarchy looks like CV Max going for that top Hecarim, and top Hecarim with they have a decent amount of AOE themselves as well. So the Hecarim charges in with his ult, like gets his AOE up and running. The W, I actually don't remember what the name of that is, but the W is the AOE where if people if like champions
you get like
damage, you get health back.
Right.
Right. So Hecarim actually has pretty good sustain in a team fight. So these two teams are gonna be.
But in the next game, we're gonna have 3 bans. But you've spoken about the compositions on both teams. And you said the Team REC composition is a bit split pushy, and you said the Anarchy has a lot of AoE. So can you just elaborate on that point for our viewers? So what should we look for? What are the winning points for winning conditions for both teams?
Oh, we're gonna break out the buzzwords.
We're gonna break out the buzzwords.
Win
and,
condition.
We're gonna say rotations a lot today. I can assure you that. Right, absolutely.
Okay, all right, let's do that. But okay, so on a little more serious note, so I think what Team REC, like, they don't have the greatest disengage, right? Like, they do have the Karthus wall. They do have, like, the Jarvan, like, slaps down his ult and then just flashes out of it. Like, there's a couple of things.
But I just got to stop you for a second. Excuse me, Barry. Just to go over these records, though. 100% banned and picked. Lee Sin and Kassadin has been banned or picked 100%. Mundo and Rengar has a 100% win rate, and Morgana and Pantheon has a 0% win rate. But the hot champion of these days is Jax, Thresh, Nami, but the ones that are a bit cold are actually Lee Sin, Lucian, and Leona and Morgana. We might not be surprised, but is there a reason why Lee Sin and Lucian might not be as hot as...
Well, it's because they're such hot picks, right? Like, people want to pick these champions, right? They pick these champions, and it doesn't matter if they're like... If a weaker team can pick the strong champions, and that doesn't necessarily mean you win, right? So if you're like shot calling is off, if you're like kind of your map management is off, then like you're gonna lose regardless, even if you pick a strong champion. So we are seeing these like strong champions have low win rates, but I think that's more due to the fact that teams are just picking it because they're strong champions, rather than because like just because you pick a strong champion doesn't mean you win. You'll see this in solo queue all the time.
And you know, we were talking about that with My Little Pony actually, right? That teams that are weaker, it's harder for them to pick non-meta champs, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And it's harder for them to make more ambitious picks and so on. So perhaps they're a little bit less hesitant to. I mean, they're more hesitant to make those unconventional picks. But at the same time, among the hot champs though, Thresh. Since Thresh has made his appearance in professional league scene, he just has been so dominant. I mean, me as a support main, I just want this green monster to go away, to be honest.
Hey,
with you.
you know what?
He's so OP.
You know, I think, and a bunch of other people might agree with me, I think all the other supports should be brought up to Thresh and Brahms level.
That's true.
They have such great kits. This is why they're picked so much, and this is why we keep seeing them over and over again and have such strong performances, because they have great kits. And even Thresh, he's been released. He's been consecutively nerfed every
single time.
Every time.
I mean, every skill that he has been nerfed, and also his base stats has been nerfed too, right? So people talk about how Graves has been nerfed so often, but actually Thresh has been nerfed very often as well.
I think he has the max. I mean, you can always have the joke with, better nerf Aurelia, but you can have those jokes. But
I think been buffed a few times also.
Yeah. But like, I think Thresh is he just has a very solid kit. He has CC, he has a slow, he has AoE kind of like AoE kind of like presence with his ultimate, and he has one of the best skills in my opinion in the game. The Lantern. The Lantern is probably one of the like Dark Passage.
I mean, it's like giving your AD carry an extra flash, right?
Oh yeah, it's an extra out. It's so great.
But you know,
both teams don't really necessarily have the best sieging. I would think that Lucian, between Lucian, Karthus, and even like Jarvan just throwing out his lance every now and then, will probably give them a decent amount of wave clear. Neither team really has the best sieges, I would say. What they're going to be looking for is just big team fights, and I think we'll be seeing a lot of team fights around Dragon, around Baron, maybe in the middle lanes. But I would expect to see a lot of Dragon contests, and those will really swing the tide of this game.
And you're talking about both teams do not have the best sieges. There used to be a point in professional league where lane clearance was just such an important factor, right? That's why they kept picking Gragas, Orianna all the time. But now, has the importance of sieging and lane clear, did it diminish a little bit?
I mean, I think you know, going for objective-based play is still the way to go, right? Because you know, at the end of the day, you want to break the nexus, right? In order to break the nexus, you're gonna have to break all the towers. So. You know, going for like a siege type composition where you can break towers is still good. I mean, it still should be a focus, but I think with these teams, we might be seeing people falling back on comfort picks maybe. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a weird composition that we're seeing, I think. So.
And talk to me a little bit about what's going on in the map, though. No invade attempt from both of those teams, and it seems like they're going to go with a standard leash jungle route.
I mean,
is there a reason why they do that?
I think they're just playing safe, right? So this is, you saw at the beginning, like the standard line of scrimmage, and then now we're gonna see, you know, the junglers starting opposite side of top lane, and this is gonna be pretty funny because this looks almost like a solo queue game and not a
right. I was going to say hard leash, please, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there used to be a time where before the smite cooldowns got changed, that they wouldn't use their smite on the first buff, right? And if the AD carry or the support takes the blue buff or the red buff away, the jungler would just go AFK.
I mean, like that changed a little bit, mainly because hitting level 2 in lane quicker was such a big thing for a little while. But I think, I don't know, like this game is gonna be an epic bloodbath. I will tell you this right now.
I mean, epic like that Hecarim skin, though, that arcade Hecarim skin. I mean, I know that maybe some of our viewers are fans of My Little Pony. I mean, but My Little Pony over there loves this skin.
Oh yeah, dude, it's the best skin.
It's the best skin.
Like why wouldn't you love a Rainbow Unicorn skin?
Well,
and also the guy's name is My Little Pony.
Right, but. Now, since we've been talking about ponies, though, I anticipated a lane swap from Team REC to sort of put a null sphere, I guess, on Hecarim, but they don't make it.
So what you can see is that, you know, both teams could be saying, you know, we have the better 2v2. Oh, wait.
But this is going to be a gank, but although Sevilla won't be able to get the kill, but adding that, amounting that extra pressure on mid lane would be good, but CV Max,
ouch. I mean,
perhaps a little bit too
there's
unaware.
not much he could have done in that case, just because Jarvan came out of absolutely nowhere. That case. Well, he came straight from River, like he didn't come out of nowhere. But they were going for a trade, and then they were gonna go for a dive, anyways. I mean, no, not a dive. Sorry, they were just gonna. He was pushed too far up. And then it was just a classic case of, hey, solo queue didn't work.
Right, and you know, I was just going to mention this, that actually I'm a big fan of CV Max's streams. And CV Max, I think, I don't remember an occasion where CV Max hasn't given up first blood. He always does this. He always pushes the lane so extensive. He always overextends himself in lane and gets killed, but somehow he manages to come back, though. So, but how much of a loss is that, Hecarim dying early?
Well, so seeing as how he had a bigger minion wave heading into the blue tower, I don't think it's that huge of a loss, because if you see where the minion wave is right now, it's closer to the red side. So it's not that huge of a loss, and he was established. I mean, I think it was just him being like, hey, I'm establishing my dominance in this lane, and he was bullying the Aurelia fairly well. If you look at the level difference right now, he was putting out a lot of pressure. So I mean, drawing the jungler out to top into the top lane might not have been such a terrible thing if his team, you know, if Sevilla could have made some other moves elsewhere.
And another gank on Karthus, and had the Glitter Lance landed, Karthus would have died, and it seems like he will. And Sevilla safely escaping away right there. A great gank. But another gank from Jarvan here, but Brown may just be a little too tanky for him. So they get a kill in the mid lane, and they evade a gank in the bot lane. So it seems like Anarchy came up with the upper hand on this trade.
I mean, the Anarchy, it may look like that, but bot lane is going to have a tough time now because they're going to be pushing to a tower with a big wave, and they're going to have to somehow sustain like through. I mean, they want that experience, right? If they back right now and they can't, you know, sustain up, which they have, I think, right now. So the Kog'Maw is sitting at about like 2/3 health and Braum about a half. Like they can't back. So it might not be the best situation, but if Sevilla can make something happen here. Then, I mean, it'll swing just...
He is just looking for the angle, and maybe Lucian might have just overextended a little bit. Now, Braum coming in there, but Jarvan flashing EQ. Braum dead, most certainly. And Aurelia teleports to the bot lane, forcing them to back away, and they naturally move on to the Dragon. A decent teleport use from Aurelia, I guess, and it seems like REC will come ahead of this one.
Anarchy can't contest this. Like, I mean, Sevilla can go for like a little cute thing where he just suicides for the Dragon Steel, but I think he's just going off thinking it's not really worth it. And you know, they can make it up elsewhere, right? So if you look at CV Max, he's pushed his wave into the tower, kind of punishing the fact that Aurelia went down with a teleport. So, I mean, all in all, a loss for Anarchy, but it's not like unrecoverable.
The end of the world. I mean, although the early Dragon money did get buffed to 180 gold, it still is not a painstaking loss, right?
I mean, it's not a huge painstaking loss. I mean, it is still definitely an advantage. So, I mean, we'll see if Team REC can make something happen with it. Like, that's the biggest thing, right? You can get all these advantages, you can do all these things, but if you don't play your cards right, it doesn't mean anything. So
can you turn the snowball into an avalanche? I mean, I guess that is the question here. And you know, we spoke earlier about how CV Max is the notorious top capath, and he still doesn't have any wards.
Well,
you know, and he doesn't even use his trinkets. You know, this is the thing about CV Max. Right?
I told you this was gonna be like a solo queue game.
Oh, you're right.
And it's gonna be a bloodbath once we get into the mid game. But I mean, let's see. His trinket's up, and he's not placing it. So I have nothing to say about that. I really don't have anything to say about that.
It's just a strange decision, and you know, a lot of people actually have told me that Aurelia is going to benefit a lot from the Doran's blade change. Now that it became a percent lifesteal instead of a fixed lifesteal.
Right. I mean, like if you stack the Doran's blade like what was it? how do you even say it? Cube.
Cube? How Irelia does it.
I mean, how the current Irelia player in this game is doing it right now. It synergizes really well with Ethan's style. So I mean.
But the ultimate going into Hecarim and Irelia trying to evade that nice juke right there, but Hecarim might be a little too mobile, and this is
cute little juke.
Cute little juke there, but Equilibrium strike. He might get away, but the glitter lance. He blew the glitter lance.
Well, what he was going
and now
for right
the
there.
EQ from Jarvan and the Requiem from Karthus might be the end of the deal here, and the Demacia from Jarvan must be a double kill. What happened there? And I actually anticipated Lulu to put help picks on Hecarim and then land the glitter lance on Irelia, but what seemed like an easy kill ended up being a double kill.
Well, what Rinder was going for right there, the Lulu player, he was trying to E a minion and then use the minion to extend the range of his glitter lance.
Okay, let's go through this replay
we'll
for
see
us.
Right now. Well,
This is a totally different thing.
Yeah, so he got caught out.
But good for him to use the Requiem for.
Right. He got the Requiem off, which is the important part. They weren't able to cancel that, but. I mean, he just got caught out, and they punished him for it. I mean, there's not much else to say about it. But yeah, going back to the slight misplay, Rinder was going for using help picks on a minion, and then use the minion to extend the range of his glitter lance and go for the kill. What I think happened was he just slightly misclicked, and then that's why the glitter lance just went off super short.
I mean, we see the best players in the world make mechanical errors, right? I mean, I guess that we can't really blame him for that. But a really great map read from Jarvan, I guess, backing him up on
definitely.
time.
He's made 2 great counter ganks so far in this game, and he's definitely got some savvy when it comes to reading the map and being where he needs to be honest. So we'll see if he can continue this. But if things continue the way that we've seen it with Jarvan going around making the right plays at the right time, in the right place at the right time, then I expect to see Team REC may be able to pull this one out.
But you know, the kill score being at 4-2, but the global goal difference actually not widening any further than the amount of kills that were given or given away. So this could be this could be an indication that both teams are very evenly contested teams, right? And Evelyn might be looking for a gank here, and Irelia's flash is down. Does Hecarim have his ultimate? He might be waiting for it, but. And the red buff on Irelia, it's going to be hard for her to escape this. Great gank there from Sevilla.
They didn't want to make a contract with
They did not want to make
a They did not want to make a contract. But yeah, like with that one, it's just Sevilla was found Cube overextended because he was going for a trade. Sevilla came in and it was just textbook bait, to be honest. But yeah, going back to what we were talking earlier about.
But the Braum ultimate landing on both of them, but perhaps their focus is a little off, and Karthus is there to back him up. Braum trying to escape, maybe land a few more autos on Lucian, and they do get the kill, and he's flashing away, but the Akazian finish doesn't quite land. I'm not sure whether I pronounced it right, but they reacted to that so well.
Yeah. And Karthus coming down and getting a double kill is huge because, I mean, both...
but Evelyn, Google, maybe I've overextended, and he did. Sevilla is everywhere.
I mean, I told you this game is going to be
It's going to be like solo queue, right?
Yeah, it's a bloodbath. I mean,
and do you like saying I told you so?
I mean, I told you so.
I mean, I love saying that
I told you so
too.
that I love saying I told you so.
I know, it's like my favorite thing to say, I told you so.
I mean, you just get this nice little feeling of justice.
It just boosts my ego, you know? It just makes me feel a little bigger than I actually am. You know what I mean? Right. But going back to what you were saying, though.
Yeah, so if you look at both of these teams, Hecarim needs to scale, and then so does Braum needs to scale. And Braum, with the nerfs that came in, he'll have a little bit. He won't be as oppressive in the late game, but he does definitely will scale well. Kog'Maw will scale well, and then now we have Lulu that adds extra kind of like beef to the team, right? And on the opposite side, we also have both will still scale well. Even though he's a support, he's still well scaled.
Evelyn is spotted right there. The EQ will land, and does Jarvan have his Demacia? He does. Evelyn spotted out of nowhere, and great instincts from Google, though. Placing the pink ward right there, and Karthus and Lulu having a bit of a 1v1 here, but the exhaust on Lulu, surely Karthus can finish this, but
oh man,
he can't, and he does have the Requiem though. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, and that's going to translate
That's going to
into
translate into an easy dragon. But was it a good idea for Lulu to go in that deep and contest with Karthus when his exhaust was up?
I mean, he may have miscalculated the timing on the exhaust. I mean, he may not have seen when Karthus had actually used his exhaust and went for the all-in trade. So, I mean, I think it's maybe why he's either a miscalculation or he just didn't think about it. It's one or the other.
And you know, you've spoken about how this game is going to be exactly like a solo queue game, and just from that, those top laners, both of them, fighting for absolutely no reason at all. They just fight for the sake of fighting, right?
I mean, as you said, CV Max, top Capath.
Right, top Capath, and you know, top laners it just seems like they just love to rub each other. And speaking of rubbing, this could be either a throw or a huge gain, but Irelia does have the capacity to survive for a long time, and CV Max lost a bunch of health though, but can Sevilla finish him up? He doesn't have the red buff, but with just one more, yes. And that is
spikes will take care of it.
enough, and the movement speed buff, oh!
No, that was a spectator bug.
Was a bug, and League of Legends known for his bugs. Do you have your Demacia? No, you don't. And Karthus being at full health, surely he can get Evelyn right there. This is such a chaotic match.
I told you, bloodbath. I'll say that again.
You'll say that again, and you'll say, I told you so again. And something happened in the bot lane. And for some reason, they're placed at very odd places. And it seems like they did have a long fight, and they will teleport in there. If Trundle gets one trophy up.
He's got no mana for it.
But Irelia,
will they be able
do you have your flash, Kog'Maw?
Ouch.
And Kog'Maw is being... And the wild growth coming in there, and Jarvan doesn't have his... Oh, he does actually have his Cataclysm, but the damage from Kog'Maw and Lulu being immense, but perhaps Irelia will be able to handle this, and Karthus backing him up again, and surely Irelia can finish Lulu off right there with the Equilibrium Strike and the red buff. With the Blaze Surge, she finishes him off, and it is just difficult to see who came up ahead because they're just fighting all over the place all the time, constantly. You told me so.
Yeah, I mean, what's important about these exchanges is that Team RAC is coming out on ahead on most of these exchanges. I mean, even though the gold differential is still sitting at around 1K, Team RAC has gotten both. They've gotten both dragons so far, and another fight.
Oh, and CV Max may have been over ambitious here. Jarvan is there to help him surely, and Irelia with the red buff. CV Max, this is something that CV Max does a lot though.
Okay, so this is okay, so it might look like CV Max is just shitting.
Throwing.
I mean, he's throwing.
You can't say shit. This is an official Riot Games partnered broadcast. You can't swear here. Come on, you're an educated man. You're a learned man.
He's pooping his pants.
He has pooped his pants. What?
Okay, which is what we like to say.
That is what educated people say.
I know, right? I'm very educated. I have a master's.
You have a master's,
and I'm very that is a testament to my.
That is a testament to your education.
Education.
Right. Education. I'm sorry.
No, education.
Education.
But yeah. So CV Max, he's dying a lot. He's making these really, really risky plays, and this, this could be okay if his team was able, if they did that at a time where his team can take advantage of the fact that he draws 3 people up to the top lane, which. As a top laner, if you're drawing 3 people up there constantly, you're doing your job. You're putting a lot of map pressure out that opens up options for your team. However, he's doing this at times where it's not ideal.
So that's the thing, right? I mean, a lot of people tell me that being good at League isn't about making kills, but it's also about dying at the right time. And
timing is huge.
Right, and it seems like Google actually used this ultimate on Kog'Maw instead of Braum. And Braum just being super tanky, how can you call that a support? And actually, Jarvan landing his EQ, accidentally spotting out the Evelyn right there. They will take the bot lane turret. Kog'Maw ignoring Jarvan right there, and Jarvan not really dealing much damage, just sort of evaporated right there. And...
oh god. I mean, this game...
Again, this game is just all over the place. So who is winning?
I would give the edge right now actually to Team Anarchy. They have more towers.
They have more turrets.
They have more turrets. I mean, all of the gold. So they have 800 gold, right? However, if Team REC can manage to take down those first 3 outers, they will jump to about a 2k gold lead, 1.5 to 2k gold lead. So, I mean, they currently, if Anarchy can keep putting driving the screws in to Team REC, then we could very well see Team Anarchy bring out the win. But
And, I was also, it's that Trundle has the cinder. What do you call it? Cinder rock, the red round.
Oh, cinder
thing.
gem.
Cinder gem. Okay, he doesn't have a sight stone.
Yep, he does not have a sight
Does
stone.
not have a sight stone.
I
And
think he's
cinder
getting
gem
that
costs
next.
150 gold, but with that, 850 gold. But with that, he opted to buy a cinder gem instead of a sight stone. So perhaps that is a reflection of, again, what we talked about, YOLO Q.
Maybe.
Was that too corny an expression?
I don't
Excuse me?
know. I don't know exactly the reasoning maybe behind this. I mean, I could guess, and my best guess is that he wanted the HP, he wanted the CDR, he wanted more pillars up, he wanted to use his ult, and having the bonus HP, like that amount of bonus HP, is actually fairly decent when he uses ult. However, at the for the price of vision control for your team, not the biggest fan.
Not the biggest fan. And also, what do you think about the build on Lucian, building the Essence Reaver and the Brutalizer right there? And they're pinging rapidly right there, telling them to back off. And Irelia, it seems like she will opt to push the top turret away, whereas Anarchy is mounting pressure to the mid lane. The pillar sort of distracting Kog'Maw a little bit, perhaps, from dealing the damage on the tower.
Meanwhile,
Irelia has successfully taken the top tower. Anarchy did take the dragon, though. So again, make an exchange. I mean, these two teams are very tightly contested. Actually, this is a very tight game, but not a tight game like how SKT and Samsung Galaxy will have a tight game.
Yeah, it's not really. But this has not been the cleanest of games.
All right.
I mean, I will definitely say this is highly entertaining.
This is highly entertaining.
This is great fun to watch.
And the Braum ultimate, very questionable though, but Kog'Maw might have enough damage, and the Torment's Embrace just slowing them down enough. You know, why was Lucian there? Why did Braum use his ultimate that way? I mean, that is something for other people to discuss, but...
I mean, Lucian was in a fairly safe area, right?
Right,
so
relatively
if you look,
safe.
Well, so if you look at the ward line for Anarchy right now, they've actually slightly started to encroach into Team Rex.
Oh, for a moment, I thought CV Max was going AFK, though, but thankfully he's not, so...
Yeah, this is okay. So you might be seeing a solo queue game, but this is still not solo queue.
Still not solo queue.
Not, yeah. But as I was saying, Team Anarchy is starting to push up their ward line into Team REC's jungle, and we see that they have a decent amount of vision. So, I mean, they felt very confident in going for that Lucian. And Lucian still, they have some amount of wards to be able to see.
Okay, and the Cataclysm on Lulu. Lulu being cut off here too, but Evelyn coming there to back up, and the Hecarim teleports right there. The ultimate ending beautifully here. A great play we see here, but the Requiem backing them up, and massive damage on all of them. They're forced to back off. They
Great pillar.
did kill Karthus off. They did kill Karthus, but they can't gain any more than that, it seems. It was a great pillar stopping them all, though.
Right, it was a great disengage. I mean, this is kind of, when we see top Trundle being played, like, how well you can place your pillars will make or break, like, kind of team fight. And this is why I kind of like,
Oh, but this is another team fight between just low health. Who's going to kill who first? This is a matter of mechanics right here. Has Sevilla overextended? No, he safely escapes. But it seems like Kog'Maw's Bio-Arcane Barrage is turned off, but he may have extended too far. He burns his flash, but Jarvan has disappeared in a second. Karthus flashing forward, trying to deal damage right there, and he does. Lulu is dead. Now another pillar on CV Max. He's going to be gone, surely. Does he have his flash? Does he? No, he doesn't, and he
CV
is
Max has
forced
Ghost.
to back up. Oh, yeah, he has Ghost.
Yeah,
Not,
Ghost.
of course, I didn't see the yellow thing there. I thought it was a blue flash or something, but excuse me.
I mean, but I mean, these fights are very sloppy, but Anarchy is gaining ground slowly and surely. That last fight, I'm not the biggest fan. They engaged because they saw that they maybe had a chance to pick one person off, but what ended up happening is they still ended up fighting. I think it was a 5v4 initially because they had already lost Karthus, and things kind of just snowballed against Team REC as they lost another member when Jarvan dove in and died. But we do see that the Jarvan is starting to get pretty beefy, so that might be an okay proposition later on if he can get more tank stats going.
And the build on Lucian, I mean, that is the first time I've actually seen that on a Lucian.
Yeah. I mean, I have a friend that swears by Youmuu's Ghostblade Lucian. I don't know how good it is. I don't like it that much. But if you do think about the way Essence Reaver and Youmuu's Ghostblade both give about 10% CDR on top of the so Youmuu's will give about 20 armor penetration on top of the active.
Oh, but Braum ultimate landing on all of them accurately, but do they have enough? And CV Max coming there to back them up if he can land his ultimate on time right there. But he is zoned out by Jarvan, but dashing at Lucian, he finishes them off. And now REC is forced to be at their back feet now. But Irelia managed to isolate Lulu away from them and dealing massive damage there. But the Wild Growth there saving her life now. Irelia is on her back feet. REC forced to recall. It seems like Anarchy will come ahead of this one now. The global goal difference extending to 4,000. And it seems like Irelia will opt to be executed instead of giving the kill away.
I think he may be able to get the execute. There we go.
Right, there we go. And a chaotic game, but it does seem like Anarchy using the lead they gain on objectives, and it seems like they are snowballing this. And Karthus has been caught there, and with no vision control, what was he doing there?
I mean, they did have that pink you see over there by the Baron Pit, and then they essentially just have two pinks out there.
Nice farm there from Karthus, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, gotta get that CS.
Right.
What we're starting to see is CV Max, why he may not have had the best laning phase, he's playing these team fights out brilliantly. He dives the back line, he ties them up for so long, and then even though Irelia manages to jump on Kog'Maw, between Braum and Lulu, they're able to lock down Irelia and almost deter the Irelia from continuing her assault on Kog'Maw, and then CV Max is still alive at the end of it.
And again, they do go for this dragon, and REC are really not trying to challenge this. That was a great pillar, forcing Evelyn to take so many hits from the culling right there, and Jarvan sort of trying to spot out someone to get the kill maybe, but perhaps he has wandered for too long, but
no Sightstone on Google still.
This is reminding me a bit of ARAM, to be honest. Like, they are spending a lot of time in the mid lane.
I mean, so what Team RC wants is they want...
And the Braum ultimate again, they decide to fight, and Karthus may be taking in a little too much there. The Wild Growth on Braum saving his life. Kog'Maw just free dealing right there, and Hecarim rushing in there, and with the ultimate, the Demacia halting him away. And that was a great pillar, but the fear lands on Jarvan, and Kog'Maw is on a rampage. And Hecarim teleporting there to pick up the CS.
Yeah, so we saw in these team fights that Team REC is not able to deal with the Kog'Maw. They can't get to him for one reason or another, and they're just having difficulty getting him. So we saw like that nice little grouping of four members of Team REC, and Kog'Maw just goes to town on them. And I mean, if this is exactly like Team Anarchy is playing their comp out the way they envisioned it. Essentially, they are protecting Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw gets to get a huge amount of DPS off from the back line, and unless Team REC can pick off a member and fight a 5v4 and are able to deal and are able to dive that Kog'Maw, I don't see them pulling out the win in this. This is going to continue snowballing in Anarchy's favor, and especially now that they've taken the Baron.
Right. There is there are weaknesses to Anarchy's composition, right? But they do need to take advantage of that. That's what you're saying. That Kog'Maw doesn't have to escape. That might be his weakness, but REC, it seems like that's why they picked Irelia in the first place, but are they really taking advantage of that thing they have?
I mean, they have Aurelia. They have a great way to dive the Kog'Maw, but the fights just haven't been starting in their favor. If you
and right here, CV Max going in on Aurelia, though. This is going to be a 3v1, but he surely believes that he is tanky enough, and he is. A 3-level difference between him and Jarvan. There, 2-level difference between him and Aurelia. Not surprised that he is so confident.
He's doing very well for himself. And as I said, I mean, it's not the end of the world that he died so much in it if he's able to play out the fights. But this may have been
jump here, but this might be an overambitious extension here, but my goodness, the damage from CV Max is outrageous, but the Requiem may drop, but this probably won't solve anything. And Kog'Maw, there's such a fearful prospect. Just look at the damage right there. Why did he flash forward? That is something for other people to discuss. I mean, they can't handle Kog'Maw, like you said.
Right, and they lost that fight without with Anarchy not having Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw came in late at the very tail end of the fight, to clean up on aisle 3. But I mean, this game is completely out of Team REC's control. Like, barring a huge misplay from Team Anarchy should be able to snowball this into a win.
So 12,000 global gold difference with bot lane inhibitor down. And the mid lane turret is so freely given away too, but go through this replay for us.
Right, so this started as 3 members from Team Anarchy versus 5 members from Team REC, and the Sevilla comes in halfway in, but they just can't kill anyone because CV Max is so darn tanky, along with the Lulu, who can just wild growth and give a ton of HP to someone that's being targeted, and then Kog'Maw comes in late. I mean, they managed to get Team Anarchy low. I mean, they almost killed them, but almost only counts from horseshoes and hand grenades. So tough luck for Team REC.
Tough luck, and it seems like Sevilla may be boosted into the next round. Perhaps we'll have to see. And how can you call that a support?
I mean,
when you can take a full combination from a Lucian and you don't even lose health.
I mean, there's not much you can do. I mean, he's just...
And again, the ultimate right there, airborning Lucian, and it seems like he won't be able to escape this. Will he? The culling do save his life, I guess, but...
I mean, credits to the Lucian player. Like, he may not have, you know, this may or may not be the most optimal build. We'll have to see. I actually haven't done the theory crafting on this specific build for Lucian. But he knows how to play with this build. He's using his, he's actually timing his Yomu's Ghostblade active with this culling, which the Yomu's Ghostblade active will give you move speed and attack speed, and Lucian's ult, the culling, gives more shots based on how much attack speed you have. So he gets an extra damage boost when he uses the Ghostblade active on top of the culling. Yeah, now we're gonna see Anarchy grind out the tower.
And it seems like they can, and... Oh, but this time it might be that Kog'Maw is caught there, but my goodness, it seems like Jarvan almost locked himself into the Cataclysm. They just can't handle the damage. Perhaps the item difference is just too wide at this point.
Yeah, the gold differential.
Right.
Gold differential.
And you've said this is going to be a bloodbath, and it indeed ended up being that exact thing, right?
Yep. I mean, CV Max is kind of stuck right now. Oh, but he's going for the dive.
Dive. Oh, maybe he wanted to get executed, but Lulu said no.
I mean, he wasn't going to get executed. But, I mean, he saw Rinder there. Rinder gave him the help.
And this seems like it's going to be a surrender. I'm surprised they actually held out for this long. And REC getting... You know what? I actually don't want...